Hi everyone, welcome to SunPork. Sorry we couldn't get to BaconFest this year, but we come over to SunPork today on our way and picked the Boston butt up, and we thought we'd do a trim and show you how we actually prepare this to be put in the smoker for a competition. Once again, as you can see here, it's the bone in it, which we leave the bone in. Have a look for it. Main thing is to see if there's any excess fat or anything else that needs to be trimmed. I'm going to leave it pretty well whole today. Get rid of that soaker pad. But one thing I do normally is I do take majority of this fat off. And why I take this fat off is because I want right around the whole piece of pork. I want to be able to get the rub into the meat, so we get a really good red bark and a really good smoke ring right around it. So once you do your pulled pork and your chunks and your pieces, then you've got that bark on the outside. So as I say, just take that pork fat off the top. It's handy to have a nice sharp knife, of course. Take it right back till you can see that meat come through, so that rub eventually can rub right into that meat. Also for competition we do inject these pieces of pork, which we'll do that shortly, before we rub it. Normally once we trim it, we'll inject it, leave it for 3 to 4 hours injected, then take it out, dry it off, and then put the rub on it. And once we put the rub on it, we leave it out to sweat again, so we let that rub do its work. Also for competition, see that fat there is another muscle here that everybody likes to get out, and that's called the money muscle, which is this muscle here. It's a nice little round muscle here, and that once you take that out, I'll release that there so we can get rubbed right around it once we get it rubbing. And then we'll cook it as a whole, as a piece, just hanging there, but we'll separate that in the cook once we go. And what that does at the end, that's more or less, you get your little money muscle medallions, which normally are you'll see in the competition, which end up very, very tender and moist. So I'll just work on that muscle, get that muscle, show you that muscle. So they are hard to find sometimes, but this one here is off a larger pork, piece of pig. So just get your finger, rub your thumb down there, you'll feel the muscle, you'll release it. Different competition have different rules. In America, this muscle must not be removed, it can be released, but it cannot be removed until it's ready to be cooked and wrapped. In Australia, not so many issues. You can take it out and cook it separate at the moment with the current rules. I'll just release it right through, then we'll inject it and rub it and keep it whole and cook it that way. So as you can see, just get rid of that bit of fat there. So there's your Boston butt. So there's your money muscle. That's why it's called a money muscle, because you cook that nice and slow, take that out, and it's fully rubbed, injected. It's once you finally cook it, get it about 210 Fahrenheit. That will be the softest butter, very similar to a burnt Indian beef. And that's it. And then the rest of it, you'll get some pulled, and you'll get some chopped pieces in as well. So there's your Boston butt ready to be injected and rubbed.
Hi, I'm Mark from Angus Reserve, and Grant's just done a lovely job of trimming this.
Releasing the money muscle and trimming.
Yes, it's released the money muscle. You can trim a bit more off the top if you want, but it's probably time to inject it. What do you think?
I reckon so.
Yeah, okay, so we've got our favourite competition injection just here. We've filled the injection needle. So what we're going to do is, this is our favourite piece of the pork, so we're going to inject it. Don't inject your hand, but yeah, just
So what the injection does, Mark, was...
Okay, so there's salts, sugars, and phosphates in this injection. It just keeps, it adds a flavour, and it keeps the pork moist using the phosphates.
So you say our favourite injection, but if someone from home wanted to inject their pork, what would you recommend they use?
Probably butcher's barbecue pork injection, or Cosmos pork injection, or if you just want to add flavour without the phosphates, you could just use like a basic brine mixture, which is salt and sugar.
Or some apple juice and
You could use
maple syrup.
Yeah, maple syrup.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all pretty nice. So we fill that money mussel up now, and we'll leave that for about 3 to 4 hours. So just, you know, keep pumping that.
So you can see the pork expanding.
Yeah.
So as it's low and slow cook, you know, if you've got this moisture inside, it helps the piece of meat keep that moisture in. That's the whole idea of the injection.
No, and just keep moving along an inch at a time and bringing the needle out as you pump it.
So it's great to be here today in SunPork new office and kitchen, and
Yeah.
since we're not going to BaconFest this year, and
It feels like we're at BaconFest.
it feels like we're at BaconFest,
Yeah.
but no, it's great to be able to come here and do a cook and show everybody the trim that we normally do and the product that's been supplied here by SunPork.
Yeah. So SunPork's been a great supporter of Angus Reserve over the years,
Yes.
and we really appreciate it.
We've travelled around the world with it. We've been to America.
Yep.
Couldn't take SunPork product, but this same recipes and injections we did use in Houston.
Yep.
And I think you actually the first year come 13th incorporated, which was a pretty amazing while we're over there.
Yeah. We had a bit of fun, and yeah, we've learned a bit over the years, and so yeah, the basic idea is just to keep pumping this piece of pork with injection. You know, you can
Cross over. Yep.
all the way through it, in through the sides.
So I suppose for people watching and people that do comps and that we know, and you know, some people haven't had the experience to go to America, but I suppose it's pretty. The thing is, in America, Mark, people are no different to ourselves, but you learn a lot over there. But they're the same as us, and just a few little different techniques. And
Yeah, and yeah, they do, like some people will do things a little differently.
Yep.
But you just find out what works for you guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, we enjoy using the product, and it works.
yeah. So now we've finished the injection. So as we said, we leave it for 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, bag it up, put it in a tray, just to keep everything clean.
Right back in yesterday, or in the fridge at home.
Yep.
And we'll be back shortly to show you how we rub it.
Okay, so the pork has been injected and put back in the fridge or the esky for about 3 to 4 hours. You could even do it an hour before. We like about 3 or 4.
So we've got some rubbies, more special rubs.
Yeah, so we've mixed up a blend of different rubs, and I'm just going to throw it in a container because it makes it easy to apply. So, like we said, this is a very important part of the pork for us, so we'll leave that till a bit later. So we'll just apply a generous coating of rub all over the pork butt. Okay. Come up a bit higher.
Get a nice even spread.
Yeah, keeps things nice and even, simple. Apply it. It's a big piece of meat, so give it a generous coating.
So really mark it on this with the Boston butt, more or less any sweeter kind of rub, salt, pepper.
Yeah,
sugar,
balanced. You want something well balanced. Salt, pepper, paprika.
Yep.
You know, we do like a bit of a sweeter profile on pork, but yeah, it's definitely got some sugar in it.
You see it's starting to already sweat out as it dries.
So we'll turn it around, and yeah, and you can see that it's well coated. So you can put a couple of coats of like that. So as we've spoken before, we really want to look after this piece because we're going to make it look beautiful. So we want to get a bit of rub all the way around this.
So this is the money mussel again. You'd love to get the same size money mussel out of every piece of pork.
Yeah, this is nice. This is a nice one.
Very nice. And once we, as we said, we cook it together, and when we do separate it, then you can put another layer of rub on that as well, just to keep it nice and red right round.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's got a nice mahogany colour. So we'll just give it a little bit more. You can take a fair bit of rub. It's a big piece of meat.
So once you rub it, probably 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, leave it for, you can leave it up for to an hour if you wanted to, but find half an hour is generally long enough. I'd be happy to put it in now actually.
Yep. Pick up all them extra rubs. Yep.
But just before we put it in the smoke, I'll make sure that this has got an even coat of rub.
Very good.
Very good. Okay, so we've cooked this pulled pork for a few hours. It's nice and tender. It's time to sort of move to the next stage, I suppose. So we.
So Mark, how long did you cook this for, roughly?
Yeah, 4 or 5 hours.
Correct, and that was about what, Fahrenheit, about 300 Fahrenheit?
300, 350.
Yeah, and that's about 150 Celsius.
Yeah. So with the pulled pork, we actually cooked it to a temperature. So we cooked it to about 205 to 210. Just need to work out when it's tender. So we know it's tender. You can feel it. So you also know that it's done because that bone will just slide straight out.
So put an extra meat in there, which actually pulls off nicely. So what's all the juice in there, Mark?
Yeah, so we've worked for that 4 hours. We've got colour on the pork, but then we put a bit of sugar, vinegar, and sauce in there, and a bit of apple juice. So there's also a lot of juices from the meat and now in the pan with that other stuff that we've added to it. So we've developed a bit of flavour in there, and we've worked a long time to get that. So it'd be a shame to throw it in the bin.
So once it's been smoked, until it gets to about 165, we get that good bark again. What we're talking about, that good bark, and that bark's nice and set.
Yeah.
Then we put it in the foil tray with that mix that you said, and then we more or less cook it for that last 3 to 4 hours in this juice to get that flavour right.
Yeah. So it's sort of like when you're cooking beef and you're creating an au jus. This is the same sort of thing. It's a little bit sweeter. It's got a lot of vinegar in it. You can basically put whatever you want in it. Everyone's flavour profiles are different, so add whatever you like into that au jus and have a play with it. But it's a shame to cook this for that amount of time and then get rid of it. So let's
what
do it with
we're going to do, we're going to get that juice and put it in 2 containers.
Yeah, so we'll collect it because it'll also be a fair bit of fat. So in a pork butt, there's a lot of connective tissue and collagen. So we've cooked it out for a long time to turn that collagen. Once you've cooked it for an extended period of time, it turns into gelatin. So which it goes soft. So before it turns into gelatin, it's hard. So we just
Carefully
converted that.
So it's very, very hot, this dew, of course.
Yeah, so we're wearing
Heat gloves.
protective gloves with gloves underneath. You can use the towel, but be careful.
A lot better this time, mate. Get all that juice out.
Yeah, so collect the juice that you've worked pretty hard to collect.
Yep.
So by pouring the juice out, you've also got rid of a fair bit of fat. So now the pork's been cooked. It's time to break it up. That's quite easy. You just, ooh, she's hot.
Very hot.
Yeah.
So there's always a couple little bits of gristle as well, Mark,
Yeah.
that still stays from the edge of that bone.
Yeah, and you just dig through it. You'll find little fatty bits and pieces that you want to remove. There's also some gristly pieces, but you'll feel it. If it's not right, you'll feel it. So just get your hands in there and
Big gristle here.
yeah.
Keep that out. So you pull it all apart. We took most of the fat off it when we actually trimmed this one. So
Yeah, so
so pull it all apart.
and all the fat's been rendered through. You keep the nice little gnarly barky bits. That's a pitmaster's privilege, that bit. There's the gristly piece. So anything like that, you just take out and remove.
That comes off the end of the bone.
Yeah.
Can't we?
So it's nice, soft.
Got a nice smoke ring.
Yeah, there's plenty of smoke ring in this. And if there's some fatty bits and pieces that you don't want, like I said, just keep digging through your pork.
So you're pulling this all through, get it all dark, get it all pulled apart. Then we're going to use this au jus.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll separate the fat out of it. You'll see the juice and all the liquid that we've made here, and then there's a fatty layer on top. So we'll get rid of that. Drain it out and leave the fat in that.
So we use this dew.
So we've worked pretty hard to create that nice juicy liquid. We're just going to.
You can do this at home normally in a normal jug and just skim the fat off it, Mark, off the top.
Yeah, or you can use a pump bottle, turn it upside down, and then squeeze the good stuff out and leave the fat left in the bowl. But that can get a bit difficult because of the heat.
So I just said, do leave the fat on top.
Yep.
Got that nice dew there ready to mix with our sauce. Go back over there.
So we've collected a bit of flavour there. So. So at this point in time, you can add salt, pepper, any flavouring that you want to enhance what you've got here. Pork tends to take on whatever you give it. It likes to add a little bit of extra flavour. Yeah. So now that nice juice that we've collected, we
Pull that back over.
pour that back in. Especially if you're going to keep it for a while and you're not going to serve it straight away, this is a good way to keep the moisture in what you've spent so long creating. But, typically, it's best to pull this just prior to service.
Right,
Have a taste, Brad. So what do you think? I think we need a bit of sauce.
I would just
Yeah,
a little
bit of
bit.
salt and pepper, maybe.
No, I reckon just a bit of sauce. Probably you could put salt in if you like, but I think a sauce, just a simple sweet baby Ray's.
Yeah, so you can get this from Woolworths or anywhere. Just use your favourite barbecue sauce. It doesn't have to be anything special.
But you don't need
Just as long as you like it.
just a bit of this, just to get that flavour of sauce back into it. Once
There you go.
on the roll. You've already got the flavour from the work we've done with the dew and.
So as much or as little sauce as you like. Everyone's a bit different, but
Just make sure you mix it right in.
yeah, this is just one of them jobs you need to get your hands in. And give it a bit of that.
When you do it, it's normally really hot, so it's good if you got your rubber plastic gloves, but just make sure you've got a heat-proof glove underneath because the internal of these pieces of meat get very, very hot and it's easy to get burned.
Okay, now you tried it before the sauce. Now try it after the sauce. What do you think? Yeah,
Tastes good.
okay.
Beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.